Round with 11 wins as you look at the 6-time national champ, 5 at Alabama on the right, and Jim Harbaugh's record at Michigan, but he's lost the last 3 bowl games, including a 41-15 drubbing against Florida in the Peach Bowl a year ago. Alabama won the toss and deferred, so Michigan will get the ball first. Giles Jackson, who does have a return for a touchdown, is deep for Michigan. A packed house, the end of the season, but a new decade of college football about to kick off. And here we go. Bulovas booting it deep, and Jackson slipping. And still did pretty well, got past the 25. Reversing field. And Henry Ruggs, who might be the fastest guy in the country, was able to track him down in midfield. He still returned it 51 yards.
What a great way to start this game for Michigan. Slipping on the return, but being able to establish that far boundary. And Giles Jackson, the explosive freshman, you see some of that speed on display. And the athleticism that he has, a great job, too, by that Michigan Wolverines kickoff return. You know, it's been a long layoff, so it's a great way to start to create some momentum for your offense to get this Verbo Citrus Bowl underway.
And if that was anybody other than Henry Ruggs for Alabama, maybe Jackson's able to get around him and score. And Shea Patterson, quarterback for Michigan, throwing downfield on the first play, and it's incomplete through the hands of Nico Collins. Couldn't hang on to it. Josh Jobe is replacing Trayvon Diggs, who's sitting out the year, was in cover, or sitting out the game was in coverage. You look at Patterson, his numbers for his career at Michigan after transferring from Ole Miss.
He's got a lot of accuracy, and like Tom referenced, he has been playing his best football of late. I thought the Ohio State game was one of the best of his career, the accuracy he showed.
Michigan lost that game, 56-27. Peoples-Jones, and not much there. Run out of play by Anthony Jennings, a gain of a couple, so it's going to be 3rd and long for Patterson.
And Michigan adjusted their offense in the offseason, went down to Alabama and hired Josh Gattis, their offensive coordinator, and they've tried to implement more tempo, more RPO, more passing game friendly aspects for Shea Patterson. He's responded beautifully after what was a bit of a rocky start in the first half of the season.
3rd team all Big Ten quarterback. His pass to Collins was off the mark. Otherwise, Collins might still be running. Again, they went at Jobe, who started the season opener against Duke, had a hand injury mid-season. Sophomore out of Miami in coverage.
Clearly trying to attack Jobe, like you referenced, who's in for Trayvon Diggs. It's a good release there by Collins. So far, Shea Patterson just a little bit off with some of those deep throws down the right sideline.
And Jalen Waddle, who is one of the most explosive and exciting players to watch every time he touches the football. He had 4 touchdowns against Auburn. This one checks up, and will be down by Michigan at the 16-yard line. Alabama, a 10-2 record. They started 8-0 before losing to LSU 46-41. And then, of course, the injury to Tua. November 16th at Mississippi State. Gone for the season. Maybe his career at Alabama is over. His football career, though, he's got a lot of football ahead of him. They lost the Iron Bowl because of some pick sixes to finish with 2 regular season losses for the first time in 9 years. But in talking with Nick Saban yesterday, he said, we're pretty ticked off about the way the season ended, and he expects his team to play very well today and play with a lot of intensity. And Mac Jones going downtown here on the first play to Judy, and there he goes. Goodbye, Jerry Judy. 85-yard touchdown. He might be the best receiver in college football. He won the Biletnikoff last year. And he might be playing his final game at Alabama. Could go pro. He's a junior. And look at that number. 33 straight wins when they score a touchdown on their opening drive. I wonder what it is when they score on the opening play from scrimmage. 7-0 Alabama.
Well, it's been a while since we've seen the Crimson Tide, but clearly the offense has not missed a beat. One-on-one coverage against the true freshman and Jerry Jeudy to the house on the post route off the beautiful throw from Mac Jones. And the Crimson Tide starting strong here in Orlando.
There's all 8/7 Central, only on ABC.
Alabama scores on the opening play because of this heavy play action look and the vision right now by Glasgow. Looking in the backfield allows for one-on-one coverage against the true freshman Daxton Hill, and Jerry Jeudy's going to win that every single time. That's a great job by Steve Sarkisian game planning the look throughout the course of the last few weeks, finding a big hitter early, an excellent throw and catch by Mac Jones and Jerry Jeudy.
Well, Dave, you talked about how he may be very well best receiver in college football. I think without question he's the best route runner in college football.
Well, and going back to that Auburn game, we talked about the pick sixes, but Mac Jones also threw 4 touchdowns in that game. He's played well, and that was an excellent throw as well to Jeudy. Giles Jackson had a 51-yard return last time he touched it, but not this time. He's knocked down at the 19-yard line by Jobe. So Michigan winning 9 games for the 4th time in 5 years under Jim Harbaugh. All 3 losses were against ranked teams. They lost big at Wisconsin and against Ohio State. Came back against Penn State to make that game. Lost by just a touchdown to the Nittany Lions. But they've lost 19 straight road or neutral games against AP top 15 teams. In fact, their last win was here on this field in 2008. At the time called the Capital One Bowl. Jay Patterson over the middle. It's caught at the 27-yard line by Jackson.
I know Michigan fans are frustrated with the performance defensively a few different times this year, but if you look at the Ohio State game closely, it felt a little closer than the score might indicate. A couple drop passes in the second half, a couple mistakes there early in the first half in the red zone with a drop pass and a fumbled snap. So I know 9-3 is not necessarily what you're looking for, and you obviously want to beat your rival, but this Michigan team is excellent.
On 2nd and 3, they'll hand it off here, and the first down for Haskins, spun to the ground by Christian Harris. Haskins has had a couple of big games, a $149 on the ground against Notre Dame, 125 yards at Illinois in a tough game where the Illini came back and needed those yards from Haskins down the stretch.
It reminds me of TJ Yeldon from Alabama. A little taller, has really good side-to-side quickness and some nice acceleration through the hole.
Interesting, guys. Michigan trying to up the tempo here, but they're substituting, which is giving Alabama a chance to get the right personnel on the field.
First down for Michigan on the 30-yard line. Will run it to Jackson. Maybe a couple. Alabama's run defense was not very good this year. They gave up 135 yards a game, most in the last 20 years for the Crimson Tide. And you saw those gaudy numbers in terms of points allowed in their 2 losses to LSU and Auburn. Michigan's offense not great. We'll see if they can buy the test today. Patterson going down the sideline, incomplete. He was trying to hit Sean McEwen, the tight end, so 3rd down and 7 now.
And one thing that I think Michigan needs to do throughout the course of this game is find opportunities for their tight end. That time, Xavier McKinney all over it, recognizing that McEwen's a huge part of this offensive plan. But on 3rd down, it's really important to try to find opportunities for Ronnie Bell, their slot receiver, who's a real big mismatch in one-on-one coverage against the slot players for Alabama.
And they got Jobe right now lined up against him. They've already targeted him twice deep down the field on the number 3 receiver there, number 8 in the slot.
There's Ronnie Bell with corner over. It indicates man coverage.
Patterson in trouble, gets rid of the pass, and it's incomplete. A diving try by Bell, could not come up with it. And so Michigan's going to have to kick it right back to Bama.
It's a really nice route from Ronnie Bell. Throw just a little bit off the mark. See the pressure from Alabama bringing 6. Patterson knows he has to get rid of the ball on time. Just a little bit too far out in front and a little low, but clearly trying to take advantage of that matchup. Ronnie Bell working against corner in the slot. is something that Michigan's going to try to do all day.
Will Hardon to boot it away for the Wolverines, and again Jalen Waddle is deep. Well, that's one way to keep it away from Waddle. Takes Michigan bounce down to about the 30-yard line, only a 37-yard punt. Mac Jones, redshirt sophomore from Jacksonville, Florida. A four-star recruit, the number 17th ranked pocket passer in the class of 2017. And again, making his fourth career start. He's played in 26 games since the beginning of last season, but most of those as the holder. And again, when Tua Tagovailoa had that ankle injury earlier in the season, he started against Arkansas. And then when Tua got hurt against Mississippi State with a season-ending hip injury, he became the full-time guy. And that pass on the money to Devontae Smith. And it's a first down out to the 46-yard line. So it's not just that he's got Jerry Jeudy. He's got Smith, Waddle, and Ruggs. So excellent receiving core to work with for Mac Jones.
Unbelievable supporting cast. I mean, they go 4 deep at wide receiver, and of course 2 deep at running back with Najee Harris and Waddle.
From the 46-yard line, they're going to run Harris here. And he gets maybe 2 yards, brought down by Ambry Thomas. So I know he had the turnovers against Auburn, but still made some big plays. And in talking to Steve Sarkisian yesterday, the offensive coordinator, he said the players really watched Mac Jones and how he responded from those mistakes. And he won a lot of guys over with the way he handled himself.
Played with toughness and bounced back from those catastrophic mistakes. Didn't let them dwindle.
On 2nd and 8, Jones going to throw it to Ruggs here out in space. And a short gain, maybe 1. Metellus on the takedown.
I think what you have to appreciate most about Mac Jones, Luke, the fact that he was willing to sign up in the same recruiting class as Tua Tagovailoa and say, you know what, I'm not going to play early, but I'm going to work on my craft and become a better player. So down the road as a redshirt sophomore or junior, I'm going to compete to win the job. You have to appreciate that approach, Tom.
That, and he's so smart, he's so competitive, and he's willing to bide his time and earn it. And that's what he's done, and that's why he's had success, because he's prepared properly.
Let's see how he does here on 3rd down and 6. Only a 3-man rush, and the pass is knocked away. Incomplete. Lavert Hill stepping in front of Ruggs, and it's 4th and 6.
And Lavert Hill does a great job of playing the quarterback's eyes. You look at that helmet looking inside. He's responsible for any flat defender. And as soon as the receiver breaks on the 5-yard out route, he has to close on it. That's a great job by Lavert Hill coming up, making a play on the football, and impacting the throw and catch. Lavert Hill is not very big at only 5'11", but if he was 6'1" or 6'2", he'd be a first-round pick. I love his cover skills, and I love his instincts on the perimeter.
First team All Big Ten last year and this year. A senior from Detroit. Alabama had all kinds of confusion there.
Delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Only had 10 guys on the field at one point. The 11th guy came on late.
And these are the things you deal with in a bowl game. Long layoff, substitutions are a little trickier. You're not a well-oiled machine the same way you usually are at the end of the regular season. So making sure you focus on the details, substitution, snap count, the little things.
It's like an opener, Greg. It really is.
It really is like starting the season all over again.
Yeah.
New year, new team.
Number 98, Mike Bernier on the punt.
And it's a line drive. Peoples-Jones has it on the 16-yard line, but nowhere to go as he is dropped. How about Devontae Smith, starting wide receiver as the gunner, making the tackle on special teams.
You haven't.
The Verbo Citrus Bowl on ABC is brought to you by Verbo. Verbo is giving away a $5,000 travel credit for a Maui vacation. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 and older only. For rules and entry, visit verbo.com/win. And in part by Lexus. Experience amazing.
Bowl week, part of the activities for all the players being involved. in community activities, playing video games with children from the Orlando area. Greg, you've obviously been a part of those and been a part of them here, having played in this game when you were at Alabama.
And that's the best part about bowl games that you never see is the impact on the community. Being able to interact and go to the children's hospital to interact with people, in some cases do football clinics for underprivileged youth. It's really, really special. It's a celebration of football, and for those seniors, you'll remember this bowl trip for the rest of your life like I do.
So first down for Michigan on its 15-yard line. And it's Charbonnet through a crease at a 20-yard line, and it's a first down for the true freshman running back. Well, final game in Michigan for Shea Patterson, who played at IMG Academy in this state, 5-star recruit after being the 2015 Elite 11 MVP. 2 years at Ole Miss, started 10 games for the Rebels and transferred to Michigan. And right now, he's 8th all-time in Michigan history, and he sits just 14 yards away from passing his head coach, Jim Harbaugh, played from 83 to 86 at Michigan and moving into 7th place.
Coach Harbaugh's so competitive. Is he just going to say run the ball the rest of the day? You know, I got to beat my quarterback as far as total yardage is concerned.
Patterson to throw here. And it's broken up. Incomplete. Intended for Collins, and Christian Harris, a true freshman linebacker in coverage, made the play for Alabama.
You know what, Greg? That's the matchup Michigan would like to have. A receiver versus a linebacker, a true freshman linebacker, and the linebacker makes the play.
And an injured Alabama player. Can't see the number just yet. It's Josh Jobe. Back in a moment.
Live February 9th on ABC.
Josh Jobe, a backup usually, but starting because Trayvon Diggs electing not to play in this game. And he got hurt a moment ago. Looks to be all right.
Yeah, a little bit of friendly fire as they were running the crossing route. They were trying to pass and run all the way through it. And you see him collide right there in the middle of your screen with Surtain. Kind of awkwardly colliding. And Jobe was able to walk off under his own power, so hopefully he'll be able to return to the game sooner than later. And Jalen Armour-Davis takes his spot there on the perimeter down at the bottom of your screen.
He's a redshirt freshman on Mobile, Alabama. And Michigan going to run the ball here, and Charbonnet close to a first down, dragged down by Christian Harris. So Alabama already was playing a lot of young guys. That's kind of how it's been all year. Dylan Moses tore his ACL. Starting linebacker as Charbonnet runs right at the linebackers and up near midfield. But good news for Alabama fans. Moses announced this week he's going to come back to Alabama next year. He was expected to be a guy that would get drafted maybe even in the first round, but he's come back to Alabama. But they missed him. LeBron Ray is another guy they haven't had. DJ Dale up front without him today. And Terrell Lewis, as we mentioned, and Trayvon Diggs are both sitting out this game as you look at Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's had his hands full and just making sure that the freshman players, and in some cases there's as many as 5 or 6 on the field at a time, having a great understanding of what they do in a very complicated defensive scheme.
Here's a direct snap. They pitch it back on a flea flicker to Patterson. And Patterson has an open receiver at the 35-yard line. It's Peoples-Jones all the way down inside the 20.
Oh, I love the design. The direct snap to Haskins, pitch it back to Patterson. Look how patient he is. Surveying the field, an excellent job by those guys on the offensive line, giving Shea Patterson plenty of time to survey. An excellent job there by Peoples-Jones getting across the field and creating a lot of separation for his quarterback.
And with that, Patterson passes his head coach Jim Harbaugh. Patterson's also closing in on a 3,000-yard season. There's only been 2 guys at Michigan to do that, John Navarre and Jake Rudock. And you think of all the great quarterbacks they've had, as it looked like Patterson was trying to call a timeout. He did before the snap. But to think of all the great quarterbacks they had at Michigan, obviously the GOAT, Tom Brady. Brian Griese won a national championship at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh played in the NFL. But Shea Patterson trying to become just the 3rd to have a 3,000-yard passing season.
From small town.
A Chad Henne's the all-time leading passer at Michigan. Shea Patterson's moving up the list. He's going to come in here and erase Harbaugh's name. Put himself in there, number 7, ahead of his coach.
If I'm him, I'm running back to the side. I say, how many guards did I need? Oh, I think past you now. That'd be the first thing I'd say to Harbaugh coming off the field on this drive.
No, it wouldn't.
How do you think Coach Harbaugh would react?
He'd look right through his eyes, out the backside of his head.
He'd say, Dylan, come over here. The backup quarterback, Dylan McCaffrey, get in there.
They fake the jet sweep and hand it off to Haskins inside the 20, breaking a tackle and dragged down inside the 10. The helmet came off for Xavier McKinney, who might be their best player on defense. He's going to have to sit out this next play.
This is a beautiful job by Haskins, being patient, allowing it to develop, setting up the block to the outside and then slipping upfield and getting vertical. He's been such a big difference maker here in the second half of the season, and I think him and Charbonnet are going to form a very formidable 1-2 punch here in the years to come.
Ben Bredes got away with a big-time hold there on the edge as well.
Keep an eye on one-on-one coverage, press. They like to take those shots occasionally.
And again, no McKinney for this play. Patterson dumping it off for a touchdown to the tight end, Eubanks. Touchdown to the season for Nick Eubanks, a senior from Plantation, Florida. '23rd touchdown pass for Shea Patterson. Looked really good on that drive. And Nordine ties it up at 7 midway through this opening quarter.
What a beautiful design by offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis. You got to account for the jet sweep, and then you got to account for the inside run, and then sure enough, they're going to go ahead and sneak Eubanks out from the backfield. This is just so difficult to defend. If you talk to Alabama defensive coordinator Pete Golding, he said, we've got to be really cognizant of the quarterback run. Clearly, look at the defenders for Alabama with eyes on number 2, Shea Patterson. Very, very concerned about that quarterback run. As a result, Eubanks is able to sneak into the flat for the easy touchdown. That's just a beautiful design and excellent answer from Michigan's offense.
And Greg, standing down here on Michigan's sideline, on the side where the touchdown occurred, there's an energy and there's an enthusiasm on this Michigan sideline. Whether it was Jim Harbaugh, whether it was Ed Werner, the offensive line coach, support staff, Josh Gaddis, everybody, players, coaches, support staff alike, all the way down here to the 15-10-yard line with a welcoming committee for Shea Patterson and crew. There just seems to be a confidence down here once they settled down and got a stop on defense.
Well, guys, look, this means more for Michigan than it does for Alabama. For Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines, beating Alabama today is more important, I believe, than it is that Alabama beats Michigan.
It might be the biggest moment of Jim Harbaugh's tenure. I mean, outside of some pretty disappointing performances, this would be a signature win for what Harbaugh and Michigan are trying to accomplish.
A touchback. It will come out to the 25. Later today on ESPN and the ESPN app is the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual, Oregon, and Wisconsin. And then Georgia Baylor go head-to-head in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Do you think any of those teams would have fared better than Oklahoma in the college football playoff semifinal against LSU, or is that an unfair question because hindsight's 20/20?
Hindsight's 20/20, but I think Oregon and Wisconsin would have matched up better because of how they can play on the perimeter and how they can control the line of scrimmage. That was an absolute beatdown between the LSU Tigers and the Oklahoma Sooners.
Run play here. Harris stood up at about the 28. And I know, guys, that people saw that score and watched that game and said, oh, this is why you shouldn't expand playoff. I'm going to look at it the other way. Maybe it's a reason to expand the college football playoff because there's teams who aren't in that top 4. You just mentioned 2 of them, Wisconsin, Oregon, that match up better.
But it still would likely be one-sided because it's very clear this year that there are 3 championship caliber programs.
But it's not like that every year.
It's like that most years.
Jones pass caught by Judy, and look at Judy reverse field and still have the speed to get back near midfield. Man, is he talented, Jerry Judy. Deerfield Beach, Florida, junior.
When you talk to Steve Sarkisian, he said Mac Jones is a better player when he turns his back to the defense, meaning off-play action, and he can turn around and to react to what he sees. So that time he turns back to the defense. He's able to locate Judy over the middle between the zone defenders. Very accurate throw, and then Judy does what he always does, make some positive yards after catch.
Could be his final game if he decides to go to the NFL. Hand off to Harris off the left edge. And into Michigan territory for a pickup of about 3 or 4.
Greg, you know, you talk about Mac Jones and about turning his back. I think the other thing, too, that Steve Sarkisian wanted to make a point of was when Mac Jones would have some duress issues, particularly against Auburn, his eyes would come down to see the rush, and then he tried to get him back up. That time, he navigated the pocket, and his eyes never came down. So always seeing what's downfield and in front of him.
You saw Sark there in his first year as the offensive coordinator, was here as an assistant a few years ago, then went to the Falcons to be their offensive coordinator for a couple of years as they snuff out that screen pass. As Glasgow takes on Billingsley, they're trying to set up the wide receiver screen to the true freshman, just his second catch of the year.
It was a beautiful job here by Glasgow, reading through it. And Jed Wills, the right tackle for Alabama, future first-round pick. Really poorly done there trying to secure the edge.
So after the negative play, it's 3rd down and 10 for Alabama. Pressure off the edge. It's picked up, and it's through the hands of Waddle, incomplete.
This was nice anticipation from Mac Jones and good separation from Waddle. The ball just slightly behind Waddle, but not enough to the point where he should drop it. You see it on the backside. I mean, that's one that Waddle's got to make. And you know if he makes it, there's a lot of space in front for him to create. Missed opportunity there from Alabama.
He felt he was held by Vincent Gray, but no penalty flag, obviously. Alabama in perfect position. Devontae Smith inside the 1-yard line. 50-yard punt. Take a look at the last drive by Michigan.
That was a beautiful answer. It all got started because of the run play. Charbonnet getting to the edge, and a good job by Big Ben Mason up front. I love this direct snap flea flicker, and the protection is a beautiful thing. Look at how much room and time Shea Patterson has to work. Peoples-Jones finds a way to get across the middle of the field, and Eubanks, excellent design. You fake the jet sweep to the right, you fake the inside zone right up the middle, and you sneak Eubanks out in the flat for an easy touchdown. That was a really well-executed drive from the Wolverines the last time out on offense.
A little bit taller order here, though, backed up inside their 1-yard line. And they get good push up front, and that allows Haskins to have some running room past the 5 and out to the 8-yard line. John Runyon, 2-time first-team All-Big Ten left tackle, on his final game at Michigan. Ben Bredesen, guy that has an NFL future at left guard.
We can talk about the receivers and the quarterbacks, their improvement over the course of the last half of the season, but this offensive line, you can't overlook the improvements they made as well. They did a great job of taking the challenge of the early season struggles and started to play really well and cohesive down the stretch.
They just gave their quarterback some breathing room here, Greg. 2nd down and 3. And waiting a second is Charbonnet. Then he turns on the Jets. Great patience that time. He waited for the hole to open, and he hit it and picks up 10 yards.
And how about the block out in front, too? Charbonnet does a great job of setting it up and then bouncing to the outside. This was really well run by Charbonnet. Great job by Bredesen out in front, throwing his body at the feet of the defender. And Charbonnet, not elite top-end speed, but very savvy and nuanced runner with the football and setting up blocks and creating yardage.
They'll run it again. And this time, Alabama does a pretty good job getting to Charbonnet and making the tackle.
You know, Alabama getting some penetration on that play there, but Greg, in the previous 2 runs, really Alabama's struggling up front. They're struggling to disengage and blocks. They're struggling to run to the football. No DJ Dale and no Raekwon Davis on the last 2 plays for Davis. Dale, of course, out for the day.
Alabama's really got to do a better job setting the edge in the run game, both against quarterback run and what Charbonnet and Haskins bring at the running back spot as well.
Patterson on 2nd down and 8. His pass is caught and close to first down. Is Sainra still to the 30-yard line. So, Greg, you and Tom are talking about the defense. We already mentioned how the rush defense has been worse this year than the last 2 decades at Alabama. If Tua Tagovailoa is healthy, do they still beat because they're not good enough or deep enough on defense?
The defense has been the Achilles heel this year. There's no denying that. And you can score points in bunches, and they have. But when you allow 48 against Auburn, it's going to be really difficult to win those games consistently.
Big hole straight ahead. And Charbonnet has another first down out to the 40-yard line. And certainly the way LSU's offense played, and obviously Tua played in that game, but look at that hole again.
Not only the hole, but then the lack of tackling on the back end. Xavier McKinney, number 15, who's usually so reliable in his run fits and run support, missing the tackle there.
And clearly Michigan liking what they see now with some of their matchups up front. Alabama's rotating a bunch of defenders in along the